I don't know what's going on with Kevin Smith. He's been in full damage control mode for the past, I would say, 6 months. He's been having a back and forth with like Clownfish TV and some other people all over this Masters of the Universe Revelation anime series coming to Netflix, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. But Kevin Smith's just, I don't know what's going on with the guy. He's always crying. Seems like every time he watches a Star Wars movie, he talks about how he was in tears during some scene. And he doesn't complain about them at all. They're all good. Everything's fine. Everything's great. Whatever. I just find his behavior here kind of funny. So the big rumor for this Masters of the Universe He-Man sequel series, it's going to pick up where the original series left off. And the big thing out there is that Teela is going to be the main character, which is really kind of dumb. Shouldn't it be Adam? But that's apparently not the direction that they want to go in. Now, I want to be full disclosure. I'm not a huge He-Man fan. I barely remember. This is way before my time. But there's an audience out there for this, and I imagine a lot of new people will get involved from the new series, and watch it because it's something to watch. But it kind of follows the formula to what they've been doing in Hollywood for, I don't know, the past couple of years, where, we're just pushing all the men's aside and letting the women come in and rise up every property. It's this big shift, and it's been backfiring quite a bit. That's why a lot of fans are upset. But the big rumor was that, Teela is going to be the main protagonist. Now, this came originally from, I think, a Clownfish TV video where they said from an insider that they heard that Teela was going to be the protagonist and He-Man was barely going to be in it or barely involved. And this had Kevin Smith come out and contact him, or he retweeted them and gaslit them. So my understanding of Kevin Smith's He-Man series from an alleged insider, Teela is a better He-Man than Adam, and he steps aside to let her and her girlfriend take over hero duties. If true, this won't play well. And yes, that will not play well. It's just more of this, disrespecting to franchises. And this is a formula that companies keep doing over and over and over. And it's really crazy to watch. It doesn't work. It always backfires, and companies lose money on it. You're seeing it right now again with Thor. Jane Foster's about to take over for Odin's son in the MCU. It already happened in the comics. And, there's other examples of this. When are they going to stop doing it? Now, this was in effect before everything going on right now. And I would imagine and think when everything going on right now, cough, cough, when all this clears up, I kind of think maybe things will go back to normal a little bit because Hollywood's losing a lot of money. So little pet projects like this and little ha-ha gotchas to fandoms, I think that these might at least, this stuff might end for a while, I'm thinking. So, we'll see what happens. But this is what Clownfish TV said. And then Kevin Smith retweets them and says, as showrunner, I really could have used those story suggestions before we locked the scripts. However, no, He-Man does not step aside, and Teela has no girlfriend in our show. The storyline is pretty dark and way metal. Before Revelation, we were calling it End of the Universe. Then he responds to them again and says, also, Real Clownfish, instead of posting your faux insider info, here's a real story at Mattel made a behind-the-scenes video featuring our actors recording. So a fan took some of Mark and Lana's dialogue and spliced them into old Funimation clips. Look. And that was the end of the story for a while. That was it. Here's something from P. Danny. A radical return to Eternia. Revelation is a direct sequel series to the classic era of Master of the Universe featuring fan favorites He-Man and a few others. The story pits our heroic warriors and guardians of Castle Grayskull against Skeletor and his buddies. But after a ferocious final battle, it forever fractures Eternia, and it's up to Teela to solve the mystery of the missing power sword in a race against time to prevent the end of the universe. Her journey will uncover the secrets of Grayskull at last. This is an epic He-Man and the Masters of the Universe saga fans have been waiting for over 35 years. So this was from August 18th. It sounds like Teela is the main character, just from reading this. And this is an official thing. So I'm really wondering, who's the liar here? Because it doesn't sound like it's Clownfish TV. It sounds like it's Kevin Smith, and he's playing damage control. And it's kind of further pushed up here. Now, when you look at this post right here, where you see Nerdrotic say, looks like He-Man is stepping aside for Teela. According to Screen Rant, I seem to remember someone saying this first and getting some backlash. Wonder what the revelation is, which is, of course, the show. And he's talking about this. So this is part of the Screen Rant article. Revelation isn't a reboot, but a sequel series, as it will pick up where the original 1980s series left off. One major difference is that though He-Man will certainly be around, he won't be the main protagonist anymore. Instead, the focus will be on Teela. Even so, He-Man should still have a large presence since the series never did get to explore the final battle between He-Man and his greatest enemy, Skeletor. Smith has teased that this fight could finally be shown in Masters of the Universe. And then we have another thing by Kevin Smith here. He says, with all due respect to Screen Rant, I've read every Master official script for our shows, plus wrote a few and viewed 4 amazing animatics. And while Teela is as present as she always has been in the Masters of the Universe adventures, she plays a big role. Our series is literally all about He-Man. There's a few things here to pick out on this. Just because it's about He-Man doesn't mean it's about He-Man. Doesn't Adam become He-Man through the sword? And if you take that missing power sword thing that they're talking about here, sure, He-Man's in the show. Maybe as a wimp, not as his big powered up form. Now, I could be wrong about some of this. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with the old show. I mostly remember the remake, so maybe there could be some differences. In the remake, I remember he became He-Man, the big muscled up version, through the sword. But it sounds like, from what I've dissected from all of this and looking into this a little bit, it sounds like Adam of Eternia is going to step aside, and Teela is going to take up the mantle and become He-Man. That's why He-Man is that's what the show's literally all about. It's all about He-Man. Well, yeah, because she was always the true He-Man. So that's the big revelation, that Teela was always the one that should have had the power sword. Is that true? I don't know. We'll find out, right? That's going to come out eventually. The show is eventually going to air, and we'll find out. And if that happens, this show is going to get a lot of flack. And it's going to be a lot of content for the channel as well, because I'll be making fun of that, because it's a stupid move to do. Why wouldn't you just give people what they want, which is, of course, He-Man versus Skeletor, and properly finish the series off? Instead, to get this going, to get it funded, you can't have He-Man, a big muscle-bound guy running around being all toxic and masculine. You have to replace him. And of course, Kevin Smith, he's not stupid. He knows what's going to happen. He knows people are going to get mad and upset if this comes out. If this gets revealed before the show even launches, that's going to be a problem. Because then it's already going to get the hate before it launches. The show needs to at least come out and make some money first before it gets trashed. And then I don't know where they're at with the show. I don't know how much of it is animated. If there was too much backlash before they even finish everything up, that could lead to potentially having the show canceled because people hate the idea so much. So to me, the idea here is for Kevin Smith to put a lid on it and damage control so that his project can get done and so that he can probably get his paychecks. He can't film those low-budget Jay and Silent Bob movies without these monies. So he's got to do his damage control. But it's funny, if this happens, he's responsible for it in some capacity. He's the showrunner. So, we'll see what happens, right? He could be right. He could be honest here and be telling us all the truth. That's a possibility. It's also a very likely possibility that the gigantic muscle-bound He-Man here is going to be replaced by his 125-pound girlfriend, who was always, through revelation, the true He-Man. And then maybe we'll get us another series, Teela, the He-Man. Or will they change it to She-Man? They already have She-Ra. So, hey, you know, why can't she be a he? It's 2020. Well, it's, you know, Teela the He-Man. You know, she'll morph into, like, looking like He-Man. So she'll just change bodies or something. Or who knows? I don't know how they'll do it. However they decide to do it, I'm sure woke Twitter will have a problem with. Who, by the way, I'm sure if she becomes the new Teela, if she becomes the new He-Man, I'm sure woke Twitter will love it. They won't watch the show, but they'll sure enjoy watching the destruction of another property that boys and men enjoy. So, yay for that, I guess. Thanks, Kevin Smith. Thanks a lot. So we'll see what happens. What do you guys think, though? How do you feel about Kevin Smith's change into a crybaby over the past couple of years? And literally a corporate stooge. How do you feel about Teela becoming the new He-Man, if that's possible? Let me know. I'd like to hear what you guys think about all of this. Also, if you would, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Throw a like up. Check that notification bell. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.